Hey guys, what's up? Batboy Bob here with another deck tech video. This is one of my favorite decks I have. Hopefully you guys liked the first Marisi video. That was fun. This is a whole different animal. It's a pretty weird deck and I'm really coming at it from a bunch of different angles. But it's really interesting and I hope you guys enjoy it. This is my Niv-Mizzet Reborn Treasure Guild, Dragon Tribal, Enchantment Tribal, Planeswalker Tribal. Basically, this deck has tons of different synergies that somehow all work together, and we're going to go through it. But the main part of the deck, so Niv-Mizzet here, let's put old booby girl off to the side. Niv-Mizzet is 5 mana, Wooburg, right? So every single color for a 6/6 Dragon Avatar. When he ETBs, I reveal the top 10 cards in my library. For each card, basically, I don't know how to explain this in English. It's like for each, boy, I really wish I had an English copy of this. Anyway, for each 2-color combination, among those 10 cards, I can add one of those cards to my hand for each 2-color combination. So this deck really emphasizes guilds. And if you don't know what a guild is, it's either like, it's a 2-color combination basically. So red, white, red, black, red, blue, red, green, green, black, green, blue, green, white. There's 10 different guilds in Magic. And they're all really showcased on the plane of Ravnica. So there's a lot of cards in here that are from Ravnica, Niv-Mizzet's from Ravnica. But anyway, this deck is crazy. Basically, the point of the deck is to board wipe our opponents. So there's lots of board wipes in here. I'm not sure how many. It's probably like 8 or something. Yeah, so this deck runs a bunch of board wipes, a bunch of planeswalkers. It's a very controlling deck. And Niv-Mizzet is just a great card draw engine. Usually when he comes out, he'll draw us 3 to 4 cards, sometimes 5 or 6. Sometimes you only get 2. Sometimes you only get 1. Almost hardly ever you'll get 0. But he's a 5-mana 6/6 flyer. So even if you're just drawing 2 cards off of him, that value is pretty ridiculous. And we don't care if he dies, right? So if we play him and we board wipe, we get to play him again for 7 mana, and he draws us another 4 cards. So basically we just deplete our opponents of their boards, and we win through card draw, controlling the field, and yeah, this deck is crazy. I'm really excited to show it to you. So, let's get into it. This is Niv-Mizzet Reborn, Treasure Tribal. And I think the reason I wanted to go for treasures, right? My image of dragons is kind of like, they're hoarding a treasure, right? There's all those old stories of dragons hoarding treasures. So I really wanted to make a dragon deck with treasures, and 5-color Niv-Mizzet is perfect for that because treasures are super invaluable in 5-color decks. All right, cool. Let's get into it. Also, these are my sleeves. Pretty nice. This deck has a bunch of fatties. Yeah, you see where I'm going with that. Yeah, cool sleeve. All right, cool. Let's go. So, lands. I don't know if I've already said this in this video, but this deck is optimized. It's not competitive. I'd really like to have all 10 shock lands in here just because this kind of has like a Ravnica theme. That'd be really nice if I could pull those together, but they're kind of expensive, so I just said heck with it. And like in my Marisi video, I put a lot of emphasis on basic lands. You'll see that through the cards. Anyways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 mountains. Mountains are pretty important in this because a lot of our board wipes are red. So having red mana to play those board wipes early in the game, controlling the board, really important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 forests. Forests are going to help us fix our mana. Forests are going to get us off the ground, basically. No pun intended. Plains 1, 2, 3, 4. White's not that important. I mean, a lot of our board wipes are white. To be honest, this mana base isn't the best. I kind of want to get through this as quick as possible and just get to the meat of this deck, which, you know, the spells are really crazy. Yeah, I'm not really proud of this mana base, to tell you the truth. I kind of just threw it together. Yeah, tried to, yeah. Swamps, 1, 2, 3, 4. Black, like I said about white, not as important as red and green to get us going. Blue, 4. Yeah, same thing. There's some card draw things in here in blue, but it's not as important as like our control, I guess, and our fixing, which is mostly in red and green. So that's why I prioritize mountains and forests. Command Tower, obviously. Prismatic Vista. I just had this card and it's good in this deck because I have all these basic lands. Great fixing. Exotic Orchard, great. Reflecting Pool, great. Spire of Industry. This deck, like I said, has a bunch of treasure tokens. So we're pretty much always going to have artifacts. So this is a great land. Ancient Tomb, absolutely fantastic. I'm playing all 10 signets in this deck. Turn 1, playing this into a signet is amazing. Feels great. Reliquary Tower. Yeah, if you watch my Marisi video, I kind of talked about this. I don't like this card very much, but it's in both of my decks that I've shown you so far. So maybe I'm a hypocrite. Maybe I actually really like Reliquary Tower. Who knows? Okay, let's get into the spells. Like I said, this deck is really focused around two color spells. I want to get to those at the end, so before that we'll get into the support cards. Land tax. Yeah, all the basic lands we're playing, being able to fix our colors seems good. Soul Ring, obviously, great. I told you I'm playing all 10 signets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The ramp and the fixing on these is just incredible. Being able to play these for any color of mana and then they create 2 of our colors. Like, I've had turns where I just like dump signet, and I have all the mana in the world. And yeah, these cards are just some of the best budget options when it comes to ramp in any deck, because you can put them in any deck. Great. All right, let's get into some treasure synergies. So this is treasure map. This is a treasure deck, and we want our dragon. We want our dragon boy. Puff the magic dragon. We want him to have as many treasures as possible. When this thing flips, it creates 3 of them. It helps us scry. That scry actually comes into play with Tamio. So I have a Tamio in this deck, where if we can name the top card of our library, we get to add it to our hand. And being able to scry and then activate Tamio, that's something I've done multiple times, and it feels really cool. Yeah, treasure map. Draneth Magistrate. You know how I feel about this card. Just great. Dockside Extortionist, probably the best magic card with the treasure mechanic on it. If your opponents are playing more competitive decks, this becomes much better than it usually is, and it's usually good. I think this is called Dragon's Horde. I'm not positive. Dragons. Anyway, yeah, this goes perfectly with our treasure theme. Whenever a dragon ETBs, put a counter on it, I can tap it, remove a counter, draw a card, or I can tap it to add a mana of any color. Just amazing flavor. It's perfect in this 5-color deck, this 5-color dragon deck. It's great. Chromatic Lantern, obviously, it's just too good. Rhystic Study, you know what it is. It's amazing. Toxic Deluge. Yeah, getting into the board wipes. This is one of the strongest board wipes. 3 mana, destroy everything. We don't care about paying life. We have ways to gain life in this deck, plus we have 40 life to begin the game. No problem. Oh my god, sorry. Panharmonicon. Pretty insane with our commander. Being 4 mana, so it, what am I trying to say? It's on curve with Niv-Mizzet, meaning that we play this on turn 3, let's say, and then we play Niv-Mizzet on turn 4. We get Niv-Mizzet's trigger twice. Ugh, that's pretty ridiculous. There's a bunch of other ETB triggers in this deck, like Dockside Extortionist, things like that, which are crazy with this. Also, we have Venser in this deck, and Venser can blink our Niv-Mizzet. We have other ways to like blink Niv-Mizzet and blink our ETB triggers, so Panharmonicon's pretty sweet. Anointed Procession, making double treasure tokens. It's pretty ridiculous. We have lots of ways to amass treasure tokens, and this just makes it snowball out of control. Plus, we have some enchantment synergy, so we're putting in the good enchantments that we can fit into this deck. And this is one of them. Speaking of enchantments and broken treasure mechanics, this is called Smothering Tithe. And I love this card. My god. When I don't know which Ravnica set it's from, but when this set came out, I live in Japan and like commander cards aren't valued as much. So I bought like 50 of these for like 50 yen each, which is like 50 cents. Granted, Japanese copies aren't as valuable as English copies, but this is a sweet white card. And yeah, making treasure tokens, it's great. Oh god. Academy Rector, basically when it dies, I search for Omniscience, and Omniscience is pretty sick in this deck, considering the giant splashy spells that we're playing. Considering that we get to draw a bunch of cards off of our commander, we're pretty much always going to have gas with our Omniscience. So yeah, Academy Rector is just great. Speaking of Omniscience, this is Replenish, return all enchantments from our graveyard to the battlefield under our control. Yeah, we're playing Omniscience, we're playing Academy Rector, we're playing White, we're playing Replenish. Those 3 cards. Academy Rector, Replenish, Omniscience. I can't tell you how good they work together. It's just gross. You probably know that. Yeah, Gilded Lotus. Nice foil. It's just great. With our artifact synergies, being able to ramp us this much, this is one of the best ramp pieces in the deck. Can't go wrong. I think this is called Spell Swindle. So 5 mana counterspell, which is pretty bad. But if we have Omniscience in play, it's just a free counterspell that when we counter the spell, we get an amount of treasure tokens equal to the countered spell's CMC. So this can sometimes just dump out like 10 treasure tokens for us out of nowhere, which is pretty sweet. And yeah, treasures. We need treasures for our dragons. They're greedy. Revel in Riches. We're playing Treasure Token Tribal, and this is a way to win the game off of treasure tokens. I've played this deck a lot, and usually my opponents just kind of concede once I get into the Omniscience, like Niv-Mizzet jank stuff, and once I've wiped everybody's boards and they don't have their hands anymore, they pretty much just give up. But a couple times I've got the win with this, and it's pretty cool winning with these what are they called? It's like a different win con. Oh, what's the word for that? Comment down below. Different win con. Alternate win con. Yes, this is a fun alternate win con. Yeah, my English is getting really bad. Okay. Doubling Season. I really wish I had the original art for this card. Being that the original art is from Ravnica, and the original art is fantastic, but this is a close second. I like this art. It's good. If you've seen the new art from like the Master set coming out in August for Doubling Season, the new art is terrible. It's like these 2 baby dragons coming out of eggs or something. They're not even dragons. They're like dinosaurs or something. It just looks like, oh, it's terrible. It looks like it's like Nickelodeon or something. But yeah, I wish I had the original Ravnica art. Yeah, Traverse the Traverse the Outlands is what this is called. So Niv-Mizzet is a 6/6. This is a 5 mana. Search my library for 6 basic lands. Or if we have a bigger creature out, search for whatever its power is. I love this card. It's great if you're playing big creatures. If you're playing big creatures and a bunch of basic lands, this is one of my favorite cards. It's great. Okay, let's keep going. Oh boy, Hellkite Tyrant. So speaking of alternate win cons, at the beginning of our upkeep, if we control 20 or more artifacts, we win the game. And whenever it deals damage to one of our opponents, we steal all of their artifacts. It's just perfect. This is like probably the poster child of this deck, because it has that like artifact hoarding dragon type like synergy, and it's from Ravnica. Yeah, this is one of my favorite cards in the deck, hands down. Speaking of flavor, Coveted Jewel. I'm happy this is in English, because I probably wouldn't have been able to describe it perfectly in Japanese. So when it enters the battlefield, I draw 3 cards, and then I can tap it, add 3 mana of any one color. So basically like Gilded Lotus, except it costs 1 extra, and I draw 3 cards. But whenever one or more creatures an opponent controls attacks me, and they aren't blocked, that player draws 3 cards and gains control of Coveted Jewel, and they untap it. So this is really fun, because it's kind of like our treasure, but we need to protect it. And having a bunch of dragons that protect treasures, that's on flavor with this deck completely. And the amount of times we wipe the board, our opponents probably aren't going to have any creatures to attack us with anyway. Let's be honest, this is a Coveted Jewel, but it's our jewel. It's Niv-Mizzet's jewel. So don't even pretend like you're going to gain control of this. All right, Coveted Jewel, cool card. Selvala Stampede, if you watch my first video, you know how much I love this card. You can cheat out Omniscience with this card, so that makes it even better in this deck. This card is just so good if you're playing giant permanents and big creatures. Nexus of Fate, so there's kind of a Sarkhan sub-theme to this deck. Sarkhan's like a dragon master, so I thought it'd be cool to throw this in here, take an extra turn, and then it shuffles into our library. Card's really good. It's awesome. The art's cool. I'm a big fan. Yeah. Omniscience. Yeah, we talked about that. It's pretty broken. You should play it. It's fun. And people get salty about this card, and I don't really see why, because it makes the person playing Omniscience, if they get it into play, it makes their decision making very easy, and their turns don't take very long. So I don't really understand what people's problem with this card is. It's 10 mana. If you get it out, you should win the game, and you should be able to like do crazy stuff. So just take your beats. All right, Omniscience, cool. Villainous Wealth, yeah, really on flavor, right? Being able to, take our opponent's treasures and make it our treasure. Plus, like having a bunch of mana with our treasure tokens, we can just dump that into X, and we're golden. Villainous Wealth, awesome card. All right, let's get into the guilds. So, yeah, we're prioritizing guilds with Niv-Mizzet. So for each guild, there's 10 guilds. I have 3 cards from each guild. What am I trying to say? Yeah, 3 cards for each guild. So Golgari has 3, Azorius has 3, Izzet has 3, and so on. Just so we can optimize the chances of like drawing 6, 7 cards off of Niv-Mizzet. I've yet to draw, I think my record is 6 or 7. I don't think I've drawn 8 cards off of his trigger yet, but we'll see, it might happen. All right, Assassin's Trophy, great. Really low costed, deals with any problem, awesome. Like I said, this deck is very controlling. So this is just, it's an awesome card. Journey to Eternity. If we equip this to Niv-Mizzet, so Niv-Mizzet already has a target on his back. That's the best thing about this card, right? He's a 6/6 flyer, so he can like kill our opponents through commander damage, and they're going to have to kill them. But we want him to die, right? We want him to die so he can become reborn and draw us a bunch of cards. So it's a fairly double-edged sword. Anyway, Journey to Eternity, if we put him on Niv-Mizzet, if we put this on Niv-Mizzet, when he dies, he returns to the battlefield under our control. We get another Niv-Mizzet trigger, and this transforms into a land that allows us to reanimate things. It's really gross. Vraska, she creates treasure tokens. Like I said, planeswalkers are a big part of this deck. We have doubling season, a bunch of board wipes. Basically, we're wiping the board, putting out planeswalkers, controlling the board, basically making our opponent scoop. It's freaking sweet. Vraska's really strong. Her -10 is hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, that's Golgari. Great. On to Selesnya. Fabro Elder, usually going to be tapping for 5 mana. So a 3 mana creature that taps for 5 mana seems good. Mirari's Wake, absolutely amazing. You know what that's all about. Dramoka, yeah, dragon theme. I wanted to put as many Elder Dragons as I could in this deck. Right, dragon theme plus these guys are 2 colors, so yeah, seems good. Our opponents can't cast spells during our turn. That's awesome when we're playing these big splashy spells, because yeah, they're gonna want to counter our stuff, but if Dramoka's out, they can't. Pretty cool. Alright, that was Selesnya. Let's move on to Azorius. Alright, so this is one of the first board wipes here. Supreme Verdict. Amazing, can't be countered. You know what it is. Venser. Really good being able to blink our Niv-Mizzet. Plus his loyalty just gets huge really quick, being, having that +2 ability. And then his -8, if we emblem him, he just wins the game. His -8 is ridiculous. Whenever we cast a spell, we can exile target permanent. That's just nuts. Oath of Teferi. Planeswalker Tribal, right? Being able to activate our Planeswalker abilities twice per turn. Really ridiculous. And this can also blink Niv-Mizzet, which is also ridiculous. Alright, that's our Azorius package. Nice. Let's move on to Is It? I really like these first 2 cards here. So Dak Faden is probably my favorite Planeswalker and Commander, being able to steal things like Soul Rings, Mana Crypts, Signets, which are invaluable. Plus, we're playing this artifact-centric deck, so being able to steal artifacts has even more value. We can rummage, which allows us to... Not even rummage. This is... Anyway, we draw 2 and discard 2, so we can pitch our Omniscience and then get it back with Replenish. There's tons of synergies with Dak Faden. He's great. This is my favorite extra turn spell in Magic. It's called Stitch in Time. We flip a coin for 3 mana. If we call it correctly, we take an extra turn. If we call it incorrectly, nothing happens. Hilarious, awesome. The value if you take an extra turn is great. The value if you don't is also great, because you're showing your opponents that you play this sort of awesome Magic card. And that's respect. And, respect can't be bought. Not with the Magic card anyway. Storm the Vaults. This creates treasure tokens, and once it transforms, it taps for a bunch of mana, which is good. Alright, that's Is It. On to Boros. Yeah, I don't know the name of this in English. I should really know that. Destroys enchantments and artifacts. Just really solid, low-costed removal. Nahiri is a good planeswalker that we can usually play on turn 3. If we get a Signet out and we have the mana to play her, she's just a nice turn 3 planeswalker, being able to get rid of problem enchantments, artifacts, and creatures. Also being able to rummage, which helps us fix and gets things in our graveyard. She's a good card. I think this is called Radiant Purge or something. Board wipe. Board wipes are good. You know that. Okay. Good. Let's move on to Orzhov. Kaya's Guile. This card has a bunch of modes. I'm not going to explain them to you. But this card is always really clutch. I said I wasn't going to explain them to you, but I kind of am. So one of the modes is each of our opponents has to sacrifice a creature. So the amount of times we're wiping the board, usually our opponents, after we wipe the board, put out their commander, and then I just play Kaya's Guile and all of their commanders die. It's really good. Plus it has a bunch of other modes, which are just icing on top of the cake. Kaya... Good Planeswalker, forcing our opponents to discard cards, and we can draw cards. She also blinks Niv-Mizzet, which is really cool. Yeah, we have a lot of Planeswalker stuff that blinks Niv-Mizzet, which is really sweet. I think this is called Merciless Eviction. No, it's not called that. Oh, man. Maybe it is. Anyway, great board wipe. Exile all creatures. Fantastic. Or enchantments or artifacts or planeswalkers. A lot of utility on that card. One of my favorite board wipes. It's just really good in like any situation. Alright, that's Orzhov. Let's move on to Rakdos. I like Rakdos. This card is sweet. Choose a creature at random, then destroy the rest. You know, even if he gets destroyed, this is great. We want him to die. Plus, we want to wipe the board for 3 mana. Like, this card's awesome. I like the art, too. Koligon, giving all our creatures haste. It's a dragon. Awesome. This ability on the end doesn't matter, but yeah, 6/5 for 6 mana gives all our creatures haste. It's pretty important with the giant creatures we're playing. Sire of Insanity is one of my favorite cards. It just makes your opponents feel absolutely terrible. It's just gross. We play our board out, we just dump everything on the table, and then we slam Sire of Insanity, and then our opponents are just like, well, I don't have anything. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I give up. And I'm like, cool. This card's just great. The name is amazing. Sire of Insanity. It's so good. Let's move on to Gruul. We got Decimate. Just a great card. It's always good. It always has good targets. One of my favorite Gruul cards. And in a control build like this is really nice. Dragon Broodmother is just a gross dragon in Commander. Being able to make these little dragon tokens that come out every single upkeep. This is so good in Commander. I love it. Yeah, Atarka. God. Another great ETB effect. Dealing 5 damage divided as we choose. It's really sweet. Getting rid of problem creatures. You know, just being able to divide that damage. Really good with all of our blink effects. Really good reanimator target. Just really sweet Elder Dragon. Good. Alright. Simic. Tamio. Tamio is really sweet. If we can play her with a Signet on turn 3, her loyalty just gets out of control. Her loyalty is 5 to begin with, and she just goes up and up. Her static ability is really sweet, so our opponents can't force us to discard cards or sacrifice permanents. That comes up a lot in Commander games, especially the sacrifice permanence part. Lots of people play like Grave Pact and like black effects that force us to sacrifice things, and we don't want to do that, and Tamio protects us, and that art is fantastic. Rolesk, he's cool. When he dies, we proliferate twice. He has a cool ETB effect where he puts 2 counters on something. He can make Niv-Mizzet in 8/8, which is gross. I like this card. It's cool. Kind of wanted to play with it, and it seems good in like a Planeswalker strategy where we can proliferate twice when he dies. Yeah, he's good. Biomantic Mastery is a really cool card. Really cool card. Yeah, draw a card for each creature target player controls, then draw a card for each creature another target player controls. Ugh, yeah, our board can get pretty ridiculous. Granted, we're not playing like, you know, go wide strategies, but I just like this card. And in Simic, like, there aren't really that amazing of options. Plus, this is a Ravnica card. It's just really cool. It's splashy. I wanted to play as many like big, sexy, splashy cards as we could, and this is one of them. So, yeah. All right, last 3-color combo, Dimir. Time Sieve is absolutely amazing. Oh my god. With treasure tokens, being able to tap this sack 5 artifacts, which are usually treasure tokens, take an extra turn after this one. God, and then if we just have like a way to create more treasure tokens on that extra turn, we just go nuts. Yeah, you know, in like, this deck isn't competitive, it's optimized, like, yeah, people try to make me feel bad about playing extra turn spells, but if I'm putting all of the work into my deck building, making this card a good card, which it normally isn't, like, I should be rewarded, right? Like, I'm sacrificing 5 artifacts to take an extra turn. Yeah, it's an extra turn, oh, but, you know, that's a big cost. But our deck is built for that cost, and this card is just a great way to take advantage of the strategy we're playing. Time Sieve, yeah. Speaking of dragons that hoard treasures, my boy Silumgar here, he's just cool. I like his face. He looks like a, I don't know, he looks like a otter with like giant teeth. He's cool. Yeah, when he ETBs, we can steal planeswalkers or creatures, and he's just a cool Elder Dragon. I think one of the only Elder Dragons I'm not playing in this deck is the Azorius one. I don't know the name of it because it's not that good, so I didn't want to play it. Sorry to all you fans of the Azorius Dragon. I think it's good in like standard, but it's not good in Commander. I don't even know what it does. I think it's called Ojutai. Ojutai, yeah. Last but not least, we got Tezzeret. Gives our creatures and planeswalkers affinity for artifacts. As you can see, we put out a bunch of treasure tokens in this deck, bunch of signets, so we can play our stuff for really, really cheap if Tezzeret's in play. And his +2, we deal a bunch of damage equal to the number of artifacts we control. Obviously, we're going to have a bunch of them. -3, put an artifact from my graveyard into my hand. Things like Gilded Lotus, things like Time Sieve. There's lots of good targets. Panharmonicon. His -8 isn't really that important. I really like his static ability, his +2, and his -3. Yeah. Anyway, that's my Niv-Mizzet Reborn deck. As you can see, there's lots of different strategies going on here, lots of synergies, but it's a really fun deck for us to play, and it's not fun for our opponents, trust me. Yeah, my playgroup absolutely hates this, and I hope that they watch this. And yeah, if you guys are listening, hopefully you can figure out some ways to fight against this. I think this deck's weaknesses are definitely its mana. If our signets are taken offline by something like a Collector Oof or something that destroys all artifacts, like a Vandal Blast or something, we're screwed. So things that disallow artifacts from being able to, things that disallow artifacts from activating, really destroy this deck. Yeah, so if you want to beat this deck, please play Artifact Disruption. And yeah, it's not like those cards are bad against other strategies. Like, everyone's playing artifacts, so it's not like you're changing your deck to beat this deck. Anyway, don't want to talk about that too much. Hopefully you really like the deck. I love it. This is Niv-Mizzet Reborn, and yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.